Farmers, trust is everything. At Genesis Fertilizers, we're not just proposing to build a facility, we're building a future designed for you. With real progress already underway, we're closer to providing Western Canadian farmers with a reliable, locally produced fertilizer supply. Now is the time to take control of your farm's future. Learn more at genesisfertilizers.com/credibility.
Bernard Tobin here at the Ontario Federation of Agriculture annual general meeting. I'm joined now by Mike Schreiner. He is the leader of the Green Party of Ontario. Mike, thanks for stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure. I always love spending time with farmers in Ontario. As somebody who grew up on a farm myself, I feel like, these are the folks I relate to and try to be a strong voice for food and farming at Queen's Park.
In your breakfast meeting here this morning, you talked about the fact that you grew up in Kansas on a farm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I grew up on a grain and cattle farm in rural western Kansas and moved here for love in the mid-1990s and started a couple local food businesses in Guelph and have really been working hard in the food and farming sector my entire life. And Guelph was a perfect place to start a business like that. And I try to bring those experiences to the work I do at Queen's Park.
Yeah. Now, farming, you said, obviously the largest sector in this province. And you mentioned the need to stand up for this sector and to protect farmland. Tell us about your strategies and what your stance is on protecting farmland.
Well, we simply can't continue to lease 319 acres of farmland each and every day in Ontario. Only 0.5% of our land mass in Canada or in Ontario is prime farmland. That contributes over $50 billion to Ontario's economy. We simply cannot afford to lose it. And so I'm going to be continuing to work with farmers, putting pressure on government to permanently protect prime farmland. And I've put forward a number of proposals of how we can build homes in existing communities, how we can make land available for commercial and industrial development where we don't have to do it on prime farmland. And so I'm going to continue to push back against the Ford government's attack on farmland.
You talked about urban sprawl, Highway 413. We've had the Greenbelt issue here. I mean, what's your message to Premier Ford on behalf of farmers?
Well, I would just say that enforcing urban boundary expansions in Waterloo Region, expropriating farmland in Waterloo Region, paving over 2,000 acres of farmland with the proposed Highway 413 is going to hurt our food and farming sector. It's going to cost us jobs. It's going to reduce their ability to contribute over $50 billion to Ontario's economy. And so that's why I've put forward proposals where we can build homes that people can afford in the communities they know and love, so they don't have to pave over farmland. And it's why I've put forward proposals like let's pay the tolls for trucks on Highway 407 to reduce gridlock so we don't have to pave over 2,000 acres of farmland to build Highway 413.
Tell us about your perspective on the Wilmot Township issue, Waterloo Region, 770 acres, industrial site. A lot to unpack in that story. A lack of transparency, farmer protests. What's your thoughts on this? No one really seems to know what's happening, and no one wants to take responsibility for it.
Yeah, well, I just think it's wrong for the Ford government not to be honest with the people of Ontario about why this land assembly is happening, why farmers' land is being taken away from them. I've met with all those farmers. I've spoken at rallies they've held. There are farms there that are multi-generational. There's a fantastic, one of my favorite dairies that makes cheese. Their land is threatened. And the farmers in the area have pointed out there are lots of other areas where the region, the province, could assemble 770 acres of land that's not prime farmland. And so the secrecy's wrong, the heavy-handed taking land away from farmers is wrong, the threat to multi-generational farms is wrong, and the fact that the government's not even being honest with us about what this land is being assembled for is why I'm going to continue to keep working with those farmers to push back against the Ford government.
You talked today as well about, there's a lot more to the Green Party's plan, than just protecting farmland. You talked about business risk management and other things that this sector, that agriculture and farmers need to be successful in Ontario.
Yeah, well, farmers have been calling for years, removing the caps on business risk management, putting in an extra $100 million to make sure the program is stable and there for farmers. And I'm thinking, think of how large the provincial budget is. Surely the government can come up with $100 million to enhance the business risk management program. They just voted yesterday they're going to spend almost $50 million ripping up bike lanes in Toronto. Like, I keep asking why rural taxpayers, why people in, southwestern Ontario or northern Ontario, why are they paying to rip up bike lanes in Toronto when infrastructure in rural parts of the province are completely underfunded?
Hey, final thought, and you ended this presentation this morning talking about the University of Guelph, obviously dear to your heart, being an MPP from Guelph, and I guess the struggles of post-secondary institutions and an institution like Guelph. You mentioned, it's a financial crisis, and it's going to impact agriculture.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sick and tired of Ontario being last in per capita funding for healthcare and for post-secondary education. It directly affects all universities, but I think for this crowd, particularly the University of Guelph, which has been so vital in training farmers and training people in the food and farming sector, in doing research to help with innovative tools that farmers are using. And if the university is going to face a financial crisis, that's going to negatively impact food and farming when it comes to educating young people and when it comes to developing the research to make sure the sector's successful and profitable.
Hey, final question. Can't let you go without asking about an election. Everybody thinks Premier Ford is priming the pump and getting things ready to go. What can we expect from the Greens when the writ is dropped? And how do you see this unfolding in the weeks and months ahead?
I just think it's wrong for the Premier to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on an early election call to advance his own personal political agenda versus putting the people first. So the Ontario Greens always put people before politics. I think an early election call is wrong. It's a waste of money, and I'm going to continue to oppose that. But if the Premier is going to decide to put politics ahead of what's good for the people of Ontario, then we'll be ready.
Mike Schreiner, Green Party of Ontario leader, thank you for taking some time for Real Agriculture.
Hey, any time, and I just want to say, we have some of the best farmland in the entire world, but we absolutely have the best farmers.